Kevin,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sifu. Happy birthday to you.
I'm 39 this year.
Just like Jack Benny.
Exactly.
Probably us three are the only ones who remember Jack Benny.
You
I
may, you may
love
be
Jack
right.
Benny.
You may be right.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, did you figure out the question that I sent you?
Well, if you use that single whip as a throw and you slide in and you move your body weight, that's what I coil up, slide in, and then that would throw him. Nah, okay.
It's a little deeper than that.
A little deeper than that.
We've been over it before. We'll go over it again, but let's warm up and then we'll take a look at it. How's your knee doing?
Knee's doing fine, but my eyes are not so good.
You know, Annie and I talk about each other ourselves in this phase of life as we're two old trees. We're two old trees. We're full of lichen. We're full of barnacles and broken branches and all kinds of weird stuff. And knots and boils. All right.
We're a colony. We're definitely hosts. But we're not giving up.
Lee circles. And reverse. And shoe circles. And reverse. And pink circles. And reverse. And reverse. And reverse. Okay, you can put away your sticks. Okay, I'm going to play you guys a little video that I sent to Kevin earlier this morning. It is from a different modality than Qigong or Tai Chi. It's from baseball, actually. And it's a little short, a little 1-minute video by a guy who is a batting coach. And he's a very famous batting coach. He works with Major League Baseball players all the way down to kids, actually. And he's trying to teach them his version of the proper body mechanics to be a good baseball hitter. And they are not what you think they are. And that, of course, is why there are hitting coaches out there. He has a particularly unique way of doing it, but it works very well. And it happens to be essentially the same thing as Tai Chi applied to batting. So I'm gonna play this little clip. It's just a minute long. He's going to talk about one particular thing, and he's going to show you the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it, and we're going to watch it several times. He's going to be using his language that he uses for baseball hitting. But I want you to try to translate it into our language, because I've talked about this principle before. So what I'm asking you to do is a job of translation. See if you can see the principle that we've talked about in what he is doing. Because what you're doing when you're hitting a baseball is spiraling. It's that simple in a certain way. It's very simple, right? You're winding up, right? And then you're unwinding. So he's trying to teach people how to do this. And it sounds very simple, but it's not. It's actually quite difficult. Once you get it, it's simple, but going from here to here is quite a job for people. So what he does is he breaks it down into very particular kinds of motion, and he practices those motions over and over and over. And then you go on to the next bit of motion, and you think, well, it's very simple. No, it's not. It's actually quite complex. What you're really doing inside is very complex. So by breaking it down and then repeating it is exactly like Qigong or Tai Chi. Break it down into the constituent parts and practice them until you can literally see them in your dreams. And then you can start to stitch them together into the motion. So let's watch this. I'm going to watch this several times, and I'll make some comments too. And then I'm going to come back and talk with you guys about it, see what you think.
When I'm up on my back leg and balanced on it, and I start to go forward and coil and hold my foot up, okay, I'm coiling, and my leg stays, not totally, but almost vertical as I go forward. When you do it wrong, the leg starts to tip forward. So the feeling of keeping your head still as you do that, okay? My head is still. It gives me the feeling that my leg is straight up and down. Even though it might be tilted a little bit, it doesn't feel like it, and I can go forward and stay back on my back leg. But as soon as my leg starts to do this, my head is going to go with it. Okay? When I'm up on my back leg and balanced on it,
Just watch his body.
my back leg and balanced on it, and I start to go forward and coil and hold my foot up, okay? I'm coiling, and my leg stays, not totally, but almost vertical as I go forward. When you do it wrong, the leg starts to tip forward. So the feeling of keeping your head still as you do that, okay? My head is still. It gives me the feeling that my leg is straight up and down. Even though it might be tilted a little bit, it doesn't feel like it, and I can go forward and stay back on my back leg. But as soon as my leg starts to do this, my head is going to go with it. Okay? When I'm up on my back leg and balanced on it, and I start to go forward and coil and hold my foot up, okay? I'm coiling, and my leg stays, not totally, but almost vertical as I go forward. When you do it wrong, the leg starts to tip forward. So the feeling of keeping your head still as you do that, okay? My head is still. It gives me the feeling that my leg is straight up and down. Even though it might be tilted a little bit, it doesn't feel like it, and I can go forward and stay back on my back leg. But as soon as my leg starts to do this, my head is going to go with it. Okay? When
Catherine, you made us laugh.
I mean, baseball is definitely not my thing. I was just watching it, and it's interesting, but it's hard for me to understand because I went once to a baseball game and I just like got nothing
You
out
have
of it.
no idea what's going on. Baseball is a game from a different era. It's a game from not just the last century, but the century before. And I like baseball, but it's like meditating. You know, you got to be in the right mood for it. Okay, so the point of watching it was not baseball. The point is the body mechanics. He was using his own language, not using Tai Chi language, but using baseball language and just plain English. He was trying to explain to people who are, you know, in there to learn to be a better batter what you need to do. And he was focusing on two issues that have specific language in Tai Chi. They're very important. So watching him say exactly the same thing about getting power out of a spiral. What do you need to do that? Well, you need to do certain things. If you don't do them, you won't get the power. You'll negate your own power. Is basically what he was saying is if you do this wrong, You won't get anything out of it, right?
Power dissipates.
The power, you dissipate your own power. And so when you hit the ball, it's not really a very good hit. If you can do it correctly, you can be much more powerful. And that's exactly the same in Tai Chi. And the principles are exactly the same. What's different is the language used to describe it. And it's always interesting to look at a basic principle through someone else's eyes, because you're going to see aspects of it that you don't see when you're just always using your own little language. Your own language can become a little bit of an echo chamber. When you have to translate from a completely different sport and then compare and go, okay, oh, you maybe learned some things looking through someone else's eyes. So I was thinking, watching him do that, I was thinking of the move called Dan Bien, single whip. You guys watch. I'm going to do all of Dan Bien, all of the move called Dan Bien, and then we're going to focus on the actual Dan Bien within that larger move. All right. This is Dan Bien. But the actual Dan Bien is just this part. That's Dan Bien. That's the same as exactly what he was doing. And I'm just using one hand. It's like I'm hitting with one hand instead of both hands, right? But it's the same thing. So watch me do this again. And I'll do it, first I'll do it correctly, just like he did his correctly. And then I'll do it wrong, the way that he did it wrong. The way I'm going to do it wrong is the way most people do it. So it's the more common way of doing it. It's just the wrong way to do it, right? So again, this is the correct way to do it. One more. Right from here. Now I'm going to do it the wrong way. Here's the right way. Here's the wrong way. So I'm sort of exaggerating it so you can see what's right or wrong. So what are the two principles he was talking about? I'll tell you, but I want to see if you can get the principles from having watched it. And I know Kevin has them, so I'll ask Kevin. What are the two principles, Kevin?
Ding.
Yes. Okay, explain the Zhongding. You got big points for that.
But you got to keep your central pole straight.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that he was saying is, and I'll paraphrase, but I'll say, he was saying, don't do this. Right? You're losing what's called your Zhongding. Zhong means central. Ding is a force that goes up.
Shuling ding ding. Ding,
Exactly.
ding.
Shuling ding jing, right? So Zhong Ding is we can translate it into English as your central equilibrium. So you can think about that as your central pole. It's the pole that runs from your root chakra to your crown chakra. If you start letting that go like this, just like he was saying, If you start letting that lean, it's called leaning in Chinese, all right? You're leaning, and it will dissipate your energy. The energy of the spiral comes from keeping this strong, not rigid, but strong, intact, and then you're wrapping the spiral around the central column, and then you're gonna unwrap it, right? So if you want to keep your Zhongding, the language he was using was keep your head lined up, in this case, with your back leg, the leg that's pushing off, right? Don't let this happen or this happen, right? Because it's breaking your central column. Now, it's not stiff, it's not mechanical, but still, you pretty much keep it in line, right? So if you're gonna hit, right, this is gonna stab and this is gonna move out, but it doesn't go like that, right? Then it goes like this. That's the second principle, right? But you're keeping your Zhongding, you're winding up around it, and then you're unwinding from it. Kevin, what's the second principle?
There's a bunch, but I'm trying to figure out which one you're looking for.
There's a hint.
Here's a hint. Okay?
The-
Watch.
yeah.
Watch. I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do it wrong. Right. Wrong. Right. Wrong.
Under.
Right.
The energy goes under, not above.
Yes, exactly.
Under.
It's control of your dantian. You're shifting your weight from one leg to the next leg. It has to go through the dantian. It has no choice. The choice is how it goes through the dantian. If you turn it over, you will uproot yourself out of the ground, and it tends to make you lean. So you will lose your Zhongding.
And it takes longer.
And it takes longer. Other than that, it's perfect. Instead, you go under. It's much shorter, it's much faster, it keeps your root in the ground, and it allows you to keep your Zhongding as you move through. It's not mechanical, it's very organic, it's very natural, right? But when you do real single whip, what you're doing is you're going to step behind someone, right? So you're going to step behind them. Are you going to step like this? Or are you going to step like that? Well, you better step like that because the other one won't
Sneaky.
work.
Sneaky step.
Yeah, as Andy says, it's like sneaking in. The other one is called punch me in the face.
Announce I'm
Go
coming.
ahead, punch me in the face, right? Instead, you sneak in, and your Zhongding is, right? So when you watch other athletes, this is how Tai Chi was invented. It wasn't like somebody sat down and read a Taoist manual and said, oh, well, we have these Taoist principles. That wasn't it. What they did was watch good athletics. And they watched what worked and what didn't work, and they analyzed it. And they went, oh, this person's keeping their central equilibrium. This person's rolling their dantian under. So they didn't discover this in a week. It took literally 10 generations for all this information to come through observation. So Tai Chi and Qigong are observational sciences. Just like that batting coach was really talking about body mechanics, right? we don't talk so much about body mechanics as we talk about energetic dynamics. But really, they're just two ways of looking at the same thing. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. When you do the form, think about this. Under. Now, even though I'm going over, I'm also going under. So it's actually going like this, even though my hand is up above. Because if I bring everything up like that, I'm just going to uproot myself. And now I'm going to lead with my leg, my calf, and then my hip. Just like he did when he was hitting the ball. And then the whole rest of it unwinds. Because I'm sinking underneath. And once you get all that, and then you forget, and in a sense you forget about it. Because it's already in there. You're used to doing it. You don't think about it. You just do it. And that's why a really good Tai Chi player looks beautiful and graceful, because their motion is efficient and effective, but it's based on a tremendous amount of technique. How does that sound?
I agree.
Annie agrees, so it must be true.
Malcolm,
Yes, Rand.
I think it's also like if you look at a swimmer, then if they're a bad swimmer, they're like splashing in the water. There's a lot of like everything's going on. And if they're good, you just see them flowing in the water. You don't see anything.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly right, Rand. It's exactly right. There are another good metaphor for this, and anybody who's a sailor will know this. A badly designed boat creates a lot of wake, creates a lot of turbulence in the water. A very well-designed boat goes through the water and doesn't create any turbulence. All right, that's the difference between not very efficient and very efficient. Yeah, Kevin.
Well, as long as we're mixing things. So I've been rowing my little hiney off for the past year and a half, and I've probably done the same exact movement 250,000 times. And I'm still not there yet. But what you find out is there's three movements: push with your legs, pivot your core, and pull back with your chest. When you get that right, it becomes extremely easy to do. But if you're just flailing around and you're pulling wrong on one leg, or you're doing something out of time, then it gets really hard.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying, guys, Tai Chi is very easy to do. It's just very hard to learn. It's exactly like what Kevin is saying. He's done this one quote unquote simple movement 250,000 times, and he's still working on it. Because the truth is, that's what it takes. You have to do these things for years, and slowly your body begins to figure out what it actually needs to do. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time.
Well, you have to wake up parts that have never been awake.
Well,
or
yeah,
been asleep for a long time.
exactly. As Kevin's nodding his head off, absolutely. And you go through this process, and maybe you're doing something for 6 months, and then you go, wait a minute, my left buttock is not actually doing this. It took you 6 months to realize that. That's what happens for everybody. You do this long enough and do the repetition, you begin to see things that you couldn't see before. So one way to look at Tai Chi is it's a mirror. It's a mirror. And every time you repeat it, you're rubbing the mirror, you're cleaning the mirror so you can see yourself more clearly. It's not that the Tai Chi's really important. What's important is your relationship with the mirror. Same thing with Qigong. All right, let's grab, speaking of Qigong, let's grab some Qi. And touch the earth. And close your pores. Salute our masters and salute your classmates. Thank you, everyone. If you're going to stay for beginning Tai Chi, give me 10 minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Ciao.